Hello and welcome to Friday's Masterclass edition of Cracking the Cryptic. This is the episode each week. I look forward to making this video when I solve the Times Cryptic crossword, and I'll try and talk you through my thought processes, such as they are, to help you with your own solving. Now, the Times Snitch has been, the website doesn't work today. The Snitch is this unofficial rating of the difficulty of a Times crossword. So let's have a look at the list. It's definitely hard. You can immediately see it's hard. It's by Ed Hall, who I first came across Ed's name actually when he did this incredible listener crossword earlier in the year called it was actually called Listen, wasn't it? Wasn't it called Listen with an exclamation mark by Eck? And I'm pretty sure Eck is Ed Hall's pseudonym in the listener. And this is, it's clearly very hard. I actually had an email from Dean this morning, Dean Short, whose 7:23 time is stellar. But Dean said he tested the puzzle for Ed. So I mean, that's incredibly honest of Dean to tell me that, rather than letting me read it out and say how brilliant that time is. I mean, Moan John McCabe there at 7 minutes 15. Moan's average time for a Times crossword is, well, I think it may be under 5 minutes. It's incredibly fast. And Chloe Hutton is fantastic as well. 7 minutes 22. Jason James, 8 minutes 37. Matthew Marcus, over 10 minutes. Has Mark actually attempted this one yet? Yes. Oh my goodness. Mark's in there at 14 minutes. Okay, well, this is going to be absolutely brutal then. That is what probably the Times Snitch site is broken as a result of the numbers getting too high. Anyway, I will do this. Well, I'll do this. I will attempt to do this, or at least have a go at it in a moment. Have I got my dictionary actually? I have got my dictionary is in the perfect position as well. That is serendipitous indeed, so that's great. Now, I have got some things to mention, though, before we kick off today. I'll start off, actually, with something I'm going to have to try not to be too emotional about. Those of you who are members of the Cryptic crossword fraternity will already be aware of this, or some of you, if you read the Daily Telegraph, may have seen an article about this last week. An old friend of mine, Chris Lancaster, who I think I originally met Chris at the Times Crossword Championship, and this must be 20 years ago, I'm going to guess, maybe more. Anyway, Chris became the puzzles editor at the Telegraph probably 15 years ago. I don't know. It feels like a long time ago, and he's been doing that job for ages. But Chris, unfortunately, has been diagnosed with the most hideous illness, motor neurone disease, MND. And there was an article in last week's Telegraph about how that has affected him and his family, and it is an appalling illness, and Chris has started a JustGiving page to try and raise some money for a vehicle that will allow him to get about a bit while he still can. And if anyone has the means, please try and help out. It is, as I say, Chris is a long-standing member of this community. He's a great guy, and we've been Facebook friends for years and years, and yeah, I mean, there but for the grace of God, it is awful. I don't want to be too maudlin in a video, but anyway, if anybody can help, please do that. I would appreciate it. And yeah. Anyway, let's move on from that. Let me move on from that. I'll try and get my head away from that subject. So how am I going to do that? I am going to say Mark does the New York Times connections puzzle every day, and he records his attempts at those, and they're over on our Patreon site, as well as Mark sometimes solves that. Well, every month he solves the Times Club Monthly Special, and there's our listener solves from time to time as well. So there's extra content over on Patreon. But he's been trying a couple of other word style games. Everybody's trying to come up with a new Wordle at the moment, and we probably get 2 emails a day from people who've invented new forms of word game, and they're trying to make them become popular. But we found a couple that we really quite like. So if you'd like to watch Mark have a go at those, there are some extra videos over on Patreon at the moment. And I'll just tease as well. This is something I'm so excited about. I barely dare mention it, but there is just the chance, there is the smallest scintilla of chance that we may have a famous chess grandmaster coming on the channel soon to solve a cryptic crossword. I'm just keeping everything crossed that somehow I don't botch that up. But anyway, that's I'll let you try and guess who that might be. Anyway, and I'm also going to say a very happy birthday to Melanie over there in Colorado, who's turning 30 on Sunday and watches these videos, and rather lovely. Hopes one day to be solving cryptic crosswords with her 15-month-old daughter. And so it's probably going to be a few years yet, Melanie. But many happy returns for Sunday. I've not been to Colorado now for years. I love skiing there, and I hope the chocolate cake on Sunday is very, very well iced. And with that said and done, let's have a look at Ed's puzzle. So here we go. We're going to have, and this might be a long video. Let's get cracking. Come on, Simon. Make your brain work. All right, what have we got? 10 letters, 1 across. Cameron is bonkers, taking on International Federation. So immediately a brilliant clue. In the sense it's redolent, I presume, of David Cameron, the former UK Prime Minister. And right, let's a quick primer. If you've never done a cryptic crossword before, every single clue in a cryptic crossword has a straight definition of the answer that you enter at the space. So somewhere in this clue, there is a definition of what we have to enter. That is almost always at the start or the end of the clue. It doesn't have to be a word. It can be, it can be a series of words. So if there was a word 10 letters long that meant Cameron is bonkers, that could be the word that we enter at 1 across. The rest of the clue is going to be what I call a recipe. It's going to be a recipe that tells you how to construct that word that we're going to enter at the answer from various other words, or it might say anagram a word, or it might say put a word into another word, or mix things about, just like a recipe would. But it's a very precise instruction. However, these constructors are brilliant, and they will disguise those instructions in every way that they can. But always remember, the instruction has to be absolutely precise. It has to grammatically work. You just have to learn to read it in the correct way. So when I read this clue, Cameron is bonkers. Cameron is 7 letters. Is 2 letters. If something is bonkers, what is it? It's mad, it's gone crazy. So I read this as an anagram of Cameron is. Taking on international, well, that suggests I've got to add the letter I to that mixture in order to get up to the 10 letters I need. And you may say, well, that's ridiculous. Why do you add an I for the word international? And this is an important principle. I say it every week, but it bears repetition. You have to become familiar with allowable abbreviations. You can't abbreviate any word to its initials. So you can't look at the word Cameron and say that could be C. It has to be supported by the dictionary. If we look under C, you will not find listed under all the various words that C can be an abbreviation for the word Cameron. But if we look under I, we will find international. So that, and a lot of these you'll be familiar with, or at least you'll be vaguely aware of. I mean, if you saw H and C on a tap, you would instantly know what they were abbreviations for. If you saw S or L on a t-shirt label, you would know what that meant. But some of them are a bit more strange, and you just have to learn them, basically. So where are we with this clue? Well, we need, therefore, all of that is before I get to the word federation, and federation must be the definition of this 10-letter answer. And now all I've got to do is figure out what it is. So we've got an I as well as Cameron is. Federation. No, it would be very useful to get this as well. Federation. Federation. I don't know, actually. That's bad. Probably ends ANCE, doesn't it? That's if you were playing Countdown, that's what you might go for if you knew it was a conundrum. ANCE. So we've got. Or is it mission? Is it some? No, I've only got one S. Okay, no, it's not that. That's very, very bad, because obviously if I get this, I get 5 starting letters. Should we go for 2 down, because it might be helpful? Let's go for this. 5-3. Union agreement to limit current oxygen consumption by screening apparatus. Wow. Right. Well, I haven't got this one yet. I mean, the way I read it, union agreement, the way my brain works, and your brain may be different, is I think that seems to be suggesting something to do with marriage vows to me. So I'm wondering whether union agreement might be I do, something you say during a marriage ceremony. And that limits current. Well, current can be I in terms of these abbreviations, and you may say, well, that's even more ridiculous than I being international. That's from physics, from Ohm's law. V equals IR, volts equals amps times resistance or something. I in that equation is current. Oxygen can be O from the periodic table. So to limit current oxygen probably means IO in the middle of something. Consumption by screening. That couldn't be. I've got it. I'm very proud of actually solving this, because there's a lot going on in this clue. Consumption is an old, well, is it an old word? But I think it is an old word for the disease tuberculosis. How would we abbreviate tuberculosis? TB. And then, so now in my brain I've got IO in this clue, TB in the clue, and I can think of the phrase idiot box. And an idiot box is like a euphemism for a television. And a television is definitely screening apparatus. And I can see the word by in here, and that sometimes can indicate an X, and that's from multiplication. If you say, what's 3 by 4? 3 times 4, 3x4. That's what must be going on. So actually, it's quite weird, this. I've actually got all the bits of this decoded correctly, which is not always the case. I've got union agreement was I do. That has surrounded IO, but consumption was then TB, and then we had the X at the end. And idiot box is the screening apparatus. This is a brilliant clue. And let's go back here then. Federation. Maybe it begins with S. So then it would be, a federation is a, don't know. Let's go for 3 down, 3 letters. Having no end of superego or ego driving identity. Driving identity. What suggests feels like a vehicle registration plate or something. Reg, maybe. Having no end of superego. Is it reg? I can see reg is in superego and it's in or ego. Having no end of... having no end. I think it's going to be reg. I'm just not sure. Is it just a hidden driving identity? That would be a reg, as in what's your car reg? Your car registration. Having no end of superego or ego. Oh no, I do see. That's so difficult. That's impossible. It's impossible to understand. But actually, it's brilliant because it shows how precise the recipes have to be, and it shows how good constructors can be at making the recipes impossible to follow. So the way to grammatically read this is having no end of superego is literally saying having no end of the letter O, which is the end letter of the word superego. So if you take the letter O out of the next part of the clue, or ego, you take the two O's out, you're just left with reg, which does define a driving identity. So that's how it works. And the fact that there is also a reg in superego is nothing to do with it. It's just a coincidence, and a misleading one at that. So come on, what is this? Oh, so annoying. Because if I could get this, it really would be helpful. Let's try 9 across. 8 letters. Is jog in onset of high winds blustery? That's great. Again, it's a brilliant surface. Ignore the surface readings. They won't help you. So you don't want to think about somebody going for a jog in a high wind. Is jog in onset of high? Well, I know what... Oh no, I'm wrong. Hang on. I thought this was going to be jingoism. It's not. Is it something like jingo-ish? Okay. And this is very blustery. Jingo. Yeah, yes, okay. Yeah, it's another brilliant clue. Good grief. So one of the skills with solving cryptic crosswords, especially difficult cryptic crosswords, is to cut the clue in the correct place. So we can identify which part of the clue is the recipe and which part is the definition. And here we have to cut it after the word wins. However, in saying that, we have to also realise that the word wins in this context, I am not pronouncing it correctly. Because the word wins is spelt exactly the same as the word wines. And if something whines, it twists. So wines is an anagram indicator. And that means this clue is actually an anagram. What's it an anagram of? Where's our anagram fodder? How do we get the 8 letters that we need? Well, is jog in, that's 7 letters. Onset of high is saying take the onset, take the initial letter of the word high, that's H, and wind all those letters around. And I think if you do that, you can create this word, jingoish. And I think that probably is blustery. If jingoism is sort of trading in trite cliche, isn't it? And that's so blustery, if you're full of bluster, that's exactly what you are. So I think jingoish is correct now. Another tip, look at what we've got in this clue crossword already. We have a J, and we have an X. So we should be aware of the fact that the constructor may have attempted a pangram here, i.e. a crossword that contains all of the letters of the alphabet. So, hopefully, we'll find a Q somewhere and a Z. And that can actually help you to solve the puzzle. Let's go for 4 down. 5 letters. What one with hooter outside might make? Yeah, lovely. Okay, well, that clue is solvable. And in fact, it's going to blow up everything I've said to you so far, because there is one type of clue. We've seen a few of these in recent episodes of this Masterclass series. There is one type of clue, and the technical term for the clue is an andlit, so sort of an ampersand sign, and then LIT. And this is a type of clue in which the constructors sort of set themselves the ultimate task, because the entire clue has to read as a definition of the answer, and the entire clue has to also read simultaneously as a recipe to construct the answer. So the words sort of have to do double duty. Now, let's read the clue just as a sentence to define this. So let's try and read this as a quick crossword clue. What one with hooter outside might make? So what would somebody with a hooter outside make? Well, they might make a noise, mightn't they? But now let's reread the clue as a recipe. What one is the Roman numeral for the for I. Well, I is the Roman numeral for 1, sorry. Or 1, I and 1 are synonymous anyway, and sort of pronouns. But this is the 1 in the clue. With hooter outside, well, your hooter, euphemistically, is your nose. So we put nose outside I, and that makes the word noise. So it does 2 things. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's going to be ironic if I have to solve all of the checking letters to get this federation. What is it? Micro something? Oh goodness, it's Micronesia. I mean, okay, I wasn't thinking of that at all. I thought I was thinking it was going to be sort of a technical term for a federation. You know, like the chess federation or something like that, but it's not. It's actually Micronesia. So that wasn't what I was thinking, but we have got it now. And therefore, we've got 5 down, beginning with S, and it's 7 letters. Meet online about supporting school gossip. Meet online about supporting school gossip. Again, you know, conjures up images of WhatsApp chats, doesn't it? Right, what's this doing then? Meet online. A meet online. What's that? If you meet somebody online, I don't know, is it like Zoom? Is it schmooze or something? Meet online about supporting school gossip. I mean, could it be schmooze? I thought schmooze had an E at the end. I mean, I can justify that. If that was a word, and I can't check it because it's cheating to do that. I'm not going to do that. But the way this could work, if you Zoom, you sort of meet online, don't you? That's what Zoom's for. Meet online about, so that word turns about, it reverses, and that word supports. This is a down clue, so it's like, so the word or the muse is acting as atlas, holding up the abbreviation for school, which is SCH, and that I am prepared to look up. So SCH, school. There it is. So schmooze. Well, we could check the Z, couldn't we? Let's have a look at this. 5, 7, 14 across. Rowdy spree with leader delayed after policeman finally finished striking individual. Rowdy spree with leader delayed after policeman finally finished striking individual. A policeman is sometimes a rozzer. That can't be involved here, I don't think. Rozzer. A rowdy spree with leader delayed after policeman. Cop. Maybe it starts with cop. A striking individual. Yeah, because I mean this is one of the tricky things, is the very best constructors can disguise which part of the clue is the definition. I'm not sure here whether it's rowdy spree or whether it's striking individual. I think I quite like striking individual. Bobby Dazzler. Bobby Dazzler would be a striking individual. I mean, that must... Oh, Bobby. Bobby, it's not cop. It's Bobby for policeman. Bobby Dazzler. Now, why? A rowdy spree. Well, Bobby after leader delayed. After policeman. Finally finished is going to be the final letter of the word finished. So that's D. Okay, and a rowdy spree must be a razzle. If you go on the razzle, you go on a rowdy spree. And the leading letter of the word razzle is R. And that is delayed. So it's put to the end of the word to create Dazzler, and we get Bobby Dazzler, and there's a chance of a double pangram then, because we've now got 2 Zs. Bobby Dazzler, what a great... I can look that up now. It's a brilliant expression, isn't it? Bobby Dazzler. It reminds me of darts for some reason. Oh, it's not there. Oh, no, it is. It is. It's just hyphenated. Bobby Dazzler. A striking or showy, especially a woman, a young girl who sets out to make an impression. A Bobby Dazzler. Isn't the English brilliant? Wow. Let's have a look at 11 across. Six letters. A scene of miraculous delivery and end of opener stand. How can you reference the Ashes today? That's just harsh. If there's anyone watching from Australia, I'm glad I can't hear you crowing. Anyway, let's have a look. Scene of miraculous... stable. Is this a reference to Jesus? A scene of the miraculous delivery. Yeah, it's lovely. So it seems... Isn't this lovely as a clue? It seems like it's got to be a reference to cricket, especially at the moment. But it's not. It's a very apposite clue for this time of year. It's a reference to Advent. It's a reference to the birth of Jesus. The baby Jesus was born in a stable. It's a scene of miraculous delivery. It was miraculous because it was a virgin birth. How does the recipe part of the clue work? The end of openers is saying take the end letter of the word openers, S, and put next to that a word for a stand. Well, a stand could be a table. It's in a bedside table. And there we go. So that we've got another one. And we can look at 12 down. 5, 2, 4. Windsor, for example, commonly incarcerates Marines, scattering people's litter. People's litter. Windsor, for example, Babes in Wood. That's a pantomime. People's litter. Babe. What's the first word here? Could be Bobby again, but I don't think it will be. Don't know. I mean, that's a bit distressing, really, because there's no excuse for not knowing this one. Let's try 15 down. 6, 3. Double top would fit. It is double top. It's a darts race. That's weird. That is weird. I made a reference to darts when I read Bobby Dazzler. And I don't know why that is. Wasn't there a darts player called Bobby George? That could be nonsense. I mean, this is a long time ago. And then I thought maybe I thought about darts because of Sid Waddell, the greatest commentator of any sport ever, who I'm pretty sure had said the words Bobby Dazzler many times during commentary. But then, maybe because I've got darts on my mind, 15 down, 6-3, I could think of the phrase double top with the D. It's one way to finish Twin Peaks. It's a brilliant reference. I mean, it's a brilliant clue again. It seems to be a reference to the television show. Was it David Lynch, Twin Peaks? But it's not. One way to finish, if you're playing darts, is to get a double top, double 20. Now, the 20 is at the top of the dartboard, so Twin Peaks is sort of... Well, Twin Peaks is literally double top, isn't it? I mean, that's just... It's a brilliant clue again. Let's try. Aunt Sally would be here. I've done it again. Sorry, this is bad. I mean, 4-5. I've just seen Fair Game. I'm presuming it's Aunt Sally. Band together to trail crows. Not very fair game. A lie. It must be Aunt Sally. I don't know why yet. Yeah. Okay. So if you are an Australian watching this video, you may vaunt your team's performance. To crow is to vaunt. So what we've got here is band together, a lie, trails, so after, crows, vaunts, but not very. And we'll all be familiar with V being an abbreviation for very. And that gives Aunt Sally. I'm not even sure what Aunt Sally is. I mean, Aunt Sally I was originally aware of from Wurzel Gummidge. But Aunt Sally I know is a fairground game from Crosswords only. So it's a fairground or pub game in which sticks or balls are thrown to smash a pipe in the mouth of a wooden figure. Huh. Well, there you go. So Aunt Sally goes in. Let's try 10 across, 6 letters. Ooh. Siblings issue. When PE goes awry. Okay. Now, even if you're brand new to Cryptic Crosswords, you've got a chance of solving this one. So spend some time in its company and think, really try. Firstly, make a decision. What do you think? Which side of the clue is the definition? Do we think it's sibling? Siblings issue? Or goes awry, perhaps? Now, if you thought it was siblings issue, spot on. And the issue of somebody is their progeny, it's their offspring. That's one of the meanings of issue. So your siblings issue, so it might be your sister's son, for example, you would refer to, we'd all know, was a nephew. Now, why is it nephew? Well, look at the letters. When PE, they go awry, they're anagrammed, and that just gives us nephew. And there's a W there. So it's another very useful letter for Ed's Pangram. Do we go? No, we shouldn't. I was going to go for 7 across. I'm going to go for 13 across. 8 letters. Totally preoccupied with, well, I mean, look at the letters we've got here. I've got a good idea what this is. Scrap upset stewardess's boss has. Yes. So this is the type of clue that I used to love when I was first into Cryptic Crosswords, because I would honestly do this. I would go through all the clues trying to find this one, because this is a hidden. What does that mean? It means the answer is actually spelt out in the letters of the clue. Now, when it's a hidden, the constructor has to tell you that he's hidden the answer in the clue. So, totally preoccupied with is the definition. Scrap upset stewardess's boss has is saying take a scrap of this phrase, stewardess's boss, upset, so reversed, that has within it a scrap of that is OBSESSED. You can see it spelt out backwards within. So obsessed is the answer there. Now, let's go for 7 down. We have got a chance of this, haven't we? Because we've got PS and R. 11 letters. It's another cricket reference. Defeat odds of its... let me try and read it properly. Defeat odds of its at about 50-50. Then Zimbabwe's tail bat. Defeat odds of its at about 50-50. Then Zimbabwe's tail. I've got a horrible feeling this is going to be the name, like literally the name of a bat, a type of bat. Odds of its. I don't know. I think I've come across this word before, but I can't remember it. I think there is a word I've seen before. I think it's going to end like this. And sorry, and I should explain why I think that. Is this 50-50? You've got to know your Roman numerals. Now, the Roman numeral for the number 50 is L. You have to know all of them. So you have to know M is 1,000. You have to know D is 500. C is 100. L for 50. X for 10. V for 5. I for 1, obviously. So that when we see 50-50 here, we're thinking double L. It then says, then Zimbabwe's tail. Well, the tail of the word Zimbabwe, we're not referring to cricket here. The end letter of the word Zimbabwe is E. So maybe actually, oh no, I don't know. Is it something like pipistrelle? If you defeat somebody in a contest, you pip them. You're pipped to the post. Odds of its at. Yeah, okay. That might be saying, take the odd letters of the phrase it's at. Now, the odd letters would be in positions 1, 3, and 5. IST. About, if something is about something, it's on the subject of it. It's it, RE. That comes up in crosswords a lot. And pipistrelle. I'm pretty sure that's right. Am I confident enough to... I think that's right. I think I'm going to look that up. Yes, pipistrelle. There we go. The commonest British bat, a small reddish-brown bat. From the Italian. Partly formed from Vesper of the evening. So, pipistrelle, another beautiful word. Difficult clue. One of the things I will mention about this clue, when you see the word odds in a cryptic crossword, I thought here it might mean take the odd letters. Odds actually can mean SP, believe it or not. You may say, what are you talking about? And I would totally and utterly empathise and sympathise. SP is an abbreviation for starting prices, which is some sort of betting reference, starting price. You know, so if you watch horse racing, which I try desperately hard not to do, if you do watch it, the starting price is sort of, I think it's the odds at the point that the race commences, maybe. So odds could be SP. And perversely, obviously, they could be evens as well. Odds. The word odds could define the word evens, because evens is a type of betting, odds, if that makes any sense. The word odds is sort of perfect for cryptic crosswords. Anyway, 7 across is 4 letters, and now it begins with P. Initially panicky at security holding thing for someone else. Well, that's fine. We can do that one. So let's literally read it as a recipe. Initially, what might that mean? It means take the first letters. How many words in a row are we going to take the first letter of? It might just be of panicky, but we should check whether it could be the other words as well. And if we take the first letters of panicky, at, security and holding, we get pash. And I think that's some sort of word for passion, isn't it? If you've got a pash for somebody, you've got a crush on them. A thing for someone else. So this is probably skewer. Oh yes, okay. Run through small garden here, Starkers. Again, if you read the clue, it conjures up an image in your head which is not going to help you to solve this. Actually, it's a brilliant clue, this. This is my favourite clue so far because the image it conjures is so stark that it's hard if you aren't lucky. We've been very lucky. We've got these checking letters, and I thought of the word skewer before I even read the clue. But look at the way the wordplay works. Firstly, we cut it after the word through. Now, if you run someone through, you stab them, don't you? And another word for stab is to skewer. So skewer is the right answer. Why? Small. Well, that's S. If you saw it on a t-shirt label, you'd know it meant small. It isn't actually bizarrely supported by the dictionary, even I think in the modern Chambers. My Chambers is old, sorry again, Shane. But it's not even in that one. But it is accepted by the Times as a valid definition, as it should be, because it's so colloquially well known and universal. Garden here. Well, there is a garden in Kew. It's called Kew Gardens, Kew. And here, Starkers is saying, look at the word here, and let's make it naked. Let's put it into a naked state. So we're going to remove its clothes. And in cryptic crossword land, a word does have clothes. They're going to be its sort of extreme letters. The H, the starting H and the ending E are the clothes of the word here. So we render the word here naked. We just left with E and R, which is this E and this R. And that's how it works. So we've actually, extraordinary, but we have done the top of this puzzle. And we're going to try 17 across now, which is 7-5. Virgin Queen lacks extremes of all-day cavorting. Virgin Queen lacks extremes of all day cavorting. I don't know what this is. I'm trying to see how I can read the clue as a recipe. I've had one idea, but I don't think I've got quite enough letters. Let me just check that. Of all days 8, isn't it? No, it's not quite right. So my thought was this. If this was a phrase, 7-5, that meant virgin, then queen lacks extremes. I thought that might be, look at the word queen and remove its extreme letters. So remove the Q and remove the N. That would give me 3 letters. And then of, all and day is another 8 letters. That's 11 letters. And they might be cavorting, so they might be anagrammed. But that doesn't work because it's only 11 letters. So now I'm changing tack. Maybe what we need is a 6-letter queen. And we're going to remove her extremes. That would give us the first 4 letters of this answer, and then the rest of it would be an anagram of all day. Virgin. Oh, Simon, why doesn't your brain work? Okay, I can't see it, sorry. And I might be misreading this one as well. It might be, might have to think about it differently. Or maybe ignore the. Sometimes it helps me to just ignore the recipe. I'm just going to think of phrases that mean virgin, 7-5, sort of untouched, chaste, white. Something clear? Something clean? I don't know. I don't know. No, I'm not sure. Oh, squeaky clean. Sorry, I just suddenly thought of babes coming down here. Squeaky clean would work. I mean, it's not got anything to do with an anagram of all day. Squeaky clean. Why is that the answer to this? Squeaky clean, obviously, virgin is squeaky clean. Queen lacks extremes. Oh no, goodness me. Okay. No, I've read this wrong. I've read this totally wrong. It's an anagram, it's nothing to do with what I said. So what we do is we take the extremes, the extreme letters of the word or the phrase, if you like, the hyphenated phrase, all day. That gives us A and Y, and we add that to queen lacks, and that does get us 12 letters, and that an anagram of queen lacks AY is squeaky clean. And there's our Q. Is that the only Q we've had? Yeah, so I think we're now pretty good. We're probably quorate for all the difficult letters. I'm not so sure this won't be a double pangram, because there's a lot of strange letters in this crossword. And we have got double Z. We've got double K, double B. We've got loads of B's. So what's this then? Is it babes? Babies? Windsor, for example, commonly incarcerates. Marines scattering. It feels like it's got an anagram. Oh, babes in arms. Yeah, that's. Oh, Barbara. That's brilliant. It's Barbara Windsor. It's nothing to do with the royal family. Oh, that's very clever. That's just very clever. Babes in arms. Right. People's litter. I mean, the definition there. Goodness me. Right. How does it work? Windsor, for example. Barbara Windsor. You may remember Barbara Windsor from the Carry On films or from EastEnders. Who was she? Peggy? Peggy Mitchell. She was Peggy Mitchell in EastEnders. And I think she was... Well, Barbara Babs is definitely an abbreviation for Barbara. So Babs, B-A-B-S, being the common form of Barbara, incarcerates, so surrounds, Marines scattering, an anagram of Marines, you can see it there. And then the definition, people's litter, question mark. It's a bit like that other clue we saw where issue was used to describe siblings' issue or something, the children or child of a sibling. A litter, obviously, if you have a litter, normally we would refer to animals having litter, but I suppose people are animals, so people's litter might be babes in arms. And the question mark is there to indicate that the The definition is loose. It's quite punny. I like it, but imagine this was a quick crossword, and the phrase was 524, and you were only given people's litter? Question mark. You'd be struggling to come up with babes in arms from that. Now let's go for 18 down. 7 letters. Hurricane expert, possibly. That makes me think of Bob Dylan. Advanced by dint of overturning bunkum. Hurricane. A hurricane expert. Is that what I want that to be? And I doubt it will be, but I'll say, is the Greek god of wind. Is that Aeolus or something? You get the Aeolian harp. How do you spell that? Is it like that? So I can't remember how the god is spelled. Maybe like that? By dint of overturning bunkum. No. Right. Oh, no. Okay. It's not. Right. I've totally misled you again. Right. What we have to do is I have to take my own advice. Firstly, we're going to split the clue in the correct place. Make your decision. Where are you splitting the clue? If you're going to split it after the word possibly, well done. That is totally correct. So we know that this word that we're putting in here is being defined by hurricane expert, possibly. And I thought, it's going to be somebody who's an expert on the wind. No. A hurricane is a type of fighter plane. And somebody who might be an expert in flying a plane is an aviator. Why is this the correct answer? Advanced. That can be abbreviated to A, and you'll have seen that if you've ever sat an A level. What did A stand for? It stood for advanced. So A is advanced. By dint of, if something happens by dint of something, or if you go, it happens via it. It is the medium through which it happens, via, and by dint of are synonymous. And then overturning bunkum, we need to think of a short word for bunkum, and bunkum is nonsense, it's rot. If you speak rot, you speak bunkum. And then we overturn that, T-O-R, to construct the word aviator. Now, what is that? I was going to say Svengali, but it's not right, is it? The L is in the wrong place. Oh dear. Little Minnie protects tragic little girl actress Minnelli? Yes, Liza Minnelli is what's going on there. I'm not going to... I don't know if I don't know. I won't even say it. I'm not sure. Liza Minnelli. What was Liza Minnelli in? I don't even know that. I'm very bad at things like this. But if somebody is little, we describe them as Minnie. M-I-N-I. And that protects a tragic little girl. That's Little Nell. And so actress is the definition, and we've got Minnelli in there. Now let's go for this one first. Parrot, maybe 22 across. 6 letters. Tax collector no longer charges double for drink. Tax collector no longer charges double for drink. I don't know what that is. I'm trying to think of a name of a drink that would go in here. Is it some sort of... I can't think of one. I keep thinking of things like spritzers and things, but that's just absolute nonsense. Tax collector no longer. That's a terrifying phrase as well. That could be a reference to some historical, Dickens tax collector, or I don't know what that is. I'm going to go for 19 down, 6 letters. Fruit pastry. He's adorned with flowers. I was going to say, I thought of quiche there, but that's just nonsense again. What's wrong with my brain? Fruit pastry. He's adorned with flowers. I don't know. I feel like this might be a name of a type of fruit pastry. And he's, I think that's going to be the word he's. I don't know. I can't get quiche out of my head. But, I mean, maybe either there, or you might put the HE there. And that's adorned with flowers. So we're going to have to put some flowers. Or maybe flowers is a difficult word, because flowers in cryptic crossword land, one of the first things you learn if you're new to them is that flowers, if we say it differently, flowers, things that flow are rivers. So this could be the name of some rivers around the outside of he's for a fruit pastry. I don't know. This is a bit worrying, this corner. Let's try 25 across. 4 letters. Where consumers may be served pickle. Well, I think that's okay. Again, make your decision. Where are we going to cut the clue? And here I think we have to cut it after the word served. So if you got that right, well done. Where consumers may be served. So we're talking about where people eat. Now, in a military context, certainly, people would eat in a mess. And if you're in a pickle, you're in a mess, aren't you? So I think that's just a double definition. Let's go back to this then. Fruit pastry. He's adorned with flowers. Oh dear, this is a bad thing. I need to get this one, I think. Tax collector no longer charges double for drink. I think it's going to be the name of a drink. Claret. Clarinet? Oh. Hang on. No. The tax collector. Okay, here I've got another idea. The people who collect tax in the UK used to be the Inland Revenue. I think now they're called HMRC. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. So tax collector no longer might be Inland Revenue. And that could if you charge a drink, you fill it. So how about putting IR? I mean, it could go there as well. Okay, but I think IR is going to be Beirut. No. So that charges double. So we have to think of a word that means double. And the whole thing is the name of a drink. Thirst? No. If somebody's your double, they're your spit. Spirit, you idiot. Spirit. That's a brilliant clue. That's so hard, though. I mean, it's so difficult because you have to sort of know the historical names of the people who collect tax in the UK. And if you're watching this from America, you're going to think that's completely unfair. And yeah, yeah, it really is. But that, I think, is the answer. And now what's this? Dimple? Oh, no, this is the fruit pastry. Wow. Well, mate, fruit pastry. He's adorned with flowers. I've got this. I love that. Again, I mean, the brilliant thing about all the clues here is once you get them, you know you've got them. Because they sort of suddenly, it's like your brain clicks in and it makes sense. So let's reread this and let's try and split it. And I have to confess, I've split this in the wrong place for you as I've been trying to pass it. So the correct way to split this clue up is between the word pastry and the word he's. So we've got fruit pastry, he's adorned with flowers. And the thing that's really tricky is that the recipe is not he's adorned with flowers. That is the definition. And who might be adorned with flowers? Flower power? A hippie. And so the way the recipe works, fruit, you might have heard of a rose hip, the hip of the rose. The fruit hip is a word that means fruit. And a pastry is a pie. And then we get a hippie, who's certainly somebody who may be adorned with flowers. The he there is vicious because it really looks like it's going to form part of the recipe. I'm very relieved, though. We've managed to get that sort of southwest corner done. Now, can we get 23 across? 3, 5. Fielding man's instructed to go back, covering spell with early duck. It's another cricket reference. Fielding man. You see, that's terrifying. Is this a reference to Fielding as in the author? And I'm not going to know it. Henry Fielding, wasn't it? Oh. If this is the name of a character in a Fielding novel, I'm going to be, just incredibly reliant on the recipe. Instructed to go back, covering spell with early duck. I don't know, it might be Tom somebody. Let's try 21 down, 5 letters. Hard to follow profile of one expecting papers. Ooh. Well, I don't know. I've got an answer here, but I didn't think you spelt it like this. Okay, let's again go through the exercise. Where are you cutting the clue? I think we cut it after the word expecting. And we're looking for a 5-letter word then that means papers. Now, how do I read the recipe here? Hard. Well, if you saw H on a pencil, what would it mean? And H means hard in terms of pencil lead. So let's just show you that. There. Hard on lead pencils. So I think hard is following, so it's probably going at the end. Profile of one expecting. And I think this is somebody who's expecting a baby. And I think the profile of somebody who would be expecting a baby, they would have a bump, wouldn't they? So I think it might be that. Bump. Bump, I thought was, maybe I'm thinking of Banff. But it's clearly, if you've got a load of bump, you've got papers. So it's just the spelling of it. And I think it must therefore be this way because it fits the recipe. Oh, this is going to be Tom somebody, isn't it? Let's try 21 across. I won't look up bump yet because I'm not certain about it. So let's have a look at 21 across, which is 6 letters beginning with B. Cleaner's rent, changing hands. Yes. Okay. So what I want you to think about here is if you change hands, if you're thinking about cryptic crosswords, what might that mean? Well, you've got a left hand and a right hand. L and R. So if you change the hands of something, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be changing an L to an R or vice versa. So changing hands, I think, is very likely to be part of the wordplay, part of the recipe, which means that the definition is almost certainly the word cleaner. And I think what we're looking for then is the word bleach. And a rent is a breach. And then a breach changes hands to changes the R to the L to create bleach. So that is how I feel that's working. Let's try it 16 down. We've got 3, 5. Most cunning bears beginning to want reserves. Most cunning. Yes. Okay. Okay, and the thing is, it's bad the way I read these clues, because I'm used to cryptic crosswords clues. I don't read the clue as a sentence. I try and read it in a way that's going to help me solve it, but if I did read this as a sentence, it does conjure up an image again. Most cunning bears beginning to want reserves. It's, suggests there's some bears in a cave, and they're quite cunning, these bears. They want some reserves for when they hibernate during the winter. But no, all of that is useless. What we need to do is to cut the clue in the correct place, and that is after the word want. So this is a phrase that means reserves. And if you're cunning, it's a very useful synonym. Arch comes up in crosswords a lot. So most cunning, archist. That bears, so as Atlas bears, it's a down clue again. So archist is going to support, it's going to hold up the beginning to the word want. That's W, and that creates war chest, and a war chest is your reserves. Oh dear. Well, let's go for this one. 26 across, 10 letters. Skins of dry hands, not his ultimately. Parchments would fit. Yeah, yes, that's right. It is parchments. So I think, yeah, I mean, dry and parch, to dry, to parch. That's synonymous, isn't it? Hands, all hands on deck. What would you be saying? You'd be saying all the men get on the deck. And then not his ultimately is saying look at the ultimate letters of the words not and his, the T and the S, to create parchments. And I think parchments were probably originally made of skins. Let's have a look. Parchment. Yeah, the skin of a sheep, goat or other animal prepared for writing on. That's another great clue, isn't it? So we've got 2 left. Now, can we get this one? It's probably a vowel here. 3 letters. It's a very long clue for a 3-letter word. Depression following husband's departure. To make whoopee in Ibiza. What? Yeah, but I've got this one. Okay. That's a great clue, isn't it? It's sort of Shirley Valentine-esque. No. What's going on here? To make whoopee in Ibiza is one of the great definitions. Ibiza is a Spanish island. And rather than to make whoopee in Ibiza, think about how one might say whoopee in Spanish. If somebody was cheering in Spanish, they might say ole. And that, I think, is the answer. Because a depression is a hole. And that, if the H from hole leaves it, H can be abbreviated, or H can be an abbreviation for husband, we would get ole, wouldn't we? Which I think we've lucked into that one. We've solved that one correctly. And we're just left with this one. And I'm not going to know this, so we're going to have to get this from the wordplay. Fielding man's instruction. A remit would be an instruction. If you give somebody a remit. No, instructed. Oh, instructed. Bade? No. Covering spell. With early duck. That feels like we need a word that means spell. That's got an O in it. But the letter O is going to appear earlier than we would expect it to in that word. Oh, goodness, I don't know then. Instructed. Okay, instructed to go. If you're instructed to go, you're sent, aren't you? And if that goes backwards, the only way that could work into Tom Jones? Spell mojo. Tom Jones. A spell, like if you put a hex on somebody, I think you cast mojo. I quite like that. Tom Jones. I thought that was a cocktail. But, I mean, that would work. We've got sent, instructed to go, turning backwards, and that covers the word mojo, in which the duck is again a cricket reference to a zero score in cricket. The Aussies are going to be having an absolute field day with some of the references in this puzzle. But then we put in the word mojo, we send one of the O's further forward. It appears early in the word, so we can create OMJO. Tom Jones. We've now got another J. Was there two Q's or not? I might be missing a Q. It might be a double pangram. This has got loads of W's. Or whatever, it's an incredibly clever grid fill. Let me just... I'm feeling I might be missing a second Q, but that is a wonderful puzzle. Let's see if it's correct. Yes, it is. And I was going to check something, wasn't I? What was it? There was something I wasn't going to allow myself to look up. Bump. That was it. Bump. I wonder if that has got a different spelling. Oh, so you can spell it with an F, but only one F. Bump. Lavatory paper. Papers, official papers, documents. What a wonderful puzzle. We've been so lucky the last few weeks, actually, in these Friday masterclasses. Some of the puzzles have just been off the scale clever. And Ed's is right up there. So there we go. Now I will have a quick go, hopefully, at the quick cryptic for you and show you that I'm not... Well, let's see. By Izzetti. Identify Eastern fellow-going name. What may be offered by therapist service ahead of time? I don't know. Cheap ornament, knick-knack? In prison, I think it's knick-knack, but yes. Drink and nuts around mad? Mead. Hospital transplant. Second thoughts could lead to this. Change of mind? Change of heart? Hospital transplant. More likely a change of heart. Devious spy I get to log as one specialising in African country. Egyptologist, I would have thought. Difficult to spell. Writer's page. That's Edgar. Elevated space editor secured. Maud is the answer there. Joy, delight, probably. I'm going to guess that's correct. Looks it. What may be offered by manicure? No, massage? Yeah. One to organise the classroom. School something. Master, maybe. Having two hands. I'm going to go for analog. Some food. Eats. Cake and fruit that's regularly seen in tea party. Don't know. Attempt to gain advantage. Once leaders left area of influence. Ambit, maybe. Class was first, now. Class kindled. Aroused, kindled. Very good clue. Change with time. Being put back creates alarm. Alert, clever clue as well. Beast pauses, ass. Dog gets in shelter having been disturbed. Oh dear, that's an English terrier. I knew it was an anagram. Oh no, English setter then. Literary device, litotes, that's a classic cryptic crossword. Fat boy lard. Okay, so what's this, bun fight? Probably. Clutching mammal, Edward tottered. Dashes. Fell. Eater. Etna. School master. Let's go for that. If you're racing, you can't muck about. We got it right. 11th. No, not great. 150 from Verlaine. 2 minutes from Chloe. 2:10. John McCabe. Wow, what a muppet. I'm a muppet. Let's see if we've... I got within 16 seconds of Mark. That's acceptable, actually. That is acceptable. Anyway, there we go. Another 2 fantastic crosswords. I hope that helped you with your own solving. If it might have done, please do remember to subscribe and like the video. Perhaps even drop us a kind comment. That would be very welcome. And thank you very much for watching. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.